Hey guys, we're creating neon ghost designs. This original content came from the Cozy Art Teacher blog. I changed a few things about it, but the original artwork was inspired by her lesson, which I'll link her blog in my description for this project. So here's my example from earlier, and we're going to try and create a ghost on this black paper. You can either choose one of my example pages to look at to draw by observation. We're going to try and make this as large as we can on our black sheet of paper and try not to make it too small so that it fills in our format and fills in our paper space. You can either do this or you can come up with your own ghost. You don't necessarily have to draw one exactly like these reference pages, but these can be really helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and make 2 lines or 3 lines, one at the top so I know that I need to reach those top ones, and some at the bottom so I know to get all the way to the bottom of my page. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of start in the middle. I'm going to look at this shape and try and draw the same shape. Now I'll let you know now, on my practice, I do mess up quite a bit. So if you find that you have to erase a whole chunk of your drawing, that's okay. We're drawing from observation. We're seeing what sticks. It's all right if you mess up, and it's okay to start over. So you can see I kind of ran out of space. Over here, it's a little too close to the edge. So I ended up erasing the bottom and just trying to start over. So drawing lightly helps a whole lot. I'm going to start to draw a little bit darker now that I kind of know where all of my lines are going to go, so it's easier for you guys to see it on this YouTube video. Now I'm going to make a circle for my basketball, and I actually have a circle template that we used on our last project, so I'm going to find one that is a similar shape to what I have on my reference paper since it's the same size, and I'm going to make a nice circle, pressing really hard to make sure you can see through it. You could just draw your own circle, but this ensures that it is pretty perfect. Now, before I draw my lines, or while I'm drawing my lines, I'm going to check to make sure when you're doing an observational drawing, you're constantly going back between your picture that you're referencing and what you're drawing. So I'm going to go back and forth and kind of look to see how these lines relate to other things in this picture. For example, this bottom one, we're going to fix in just a minute, to where if I'm looking here, it doesn't touch the ghost arm like it does in my picture. So I'm gonna go back and change that because I didn't make that line long enough. I want it to make sure I'm referencing it correctly. So if you need to erase or you do a few things that aren't exactly like your picture, generally doesn't have to be the exact same, but this is helpful when creating an observational drawing. The graphite of my pencil is gray. We're going to have a lot of low contrast here, which is why I'm trying to draw it a whole lot harder so you can see it. My paper is black, my graphite's gray. It's very similar colors. So notice here how I'm going to check that curve line. I'm looking for different shapes that I see and how it relates to the other lines on this basketball. So the hat starts about a little bit further down from this line. So I'm going to create that curve that resembles my reference picture for the bottom of my hat, and just continue looking back and forth between my reference picture and the paper that I'm actually drawing on. Okay, I'm going to quickly add a few remainder images, finish off the hat, make sure I'm going back and forth between my reference pages. Now for the bottom part. This bottom part is very difficult. It looks overwhelming to draw, but first we're going to start by finding the different shapes that we see. So a lot of these are almost complete ovals or half ovals. You could think of them as the letter C. So I'm going to show you a few on the edges and a few different ways that you can do the bottom if you want to. Down here, I did one on the left, and I'm going to try to do this half circle on the right. Now you have lots of options when it comes to this part. If the circle shapes are too difficult and you would rather just do a wavy line over the bottom, you could do the 2 circle types on the outsides, which makes it look a little bit more realistic with that wavy line on the bottom. You could create some lines that show movement with your wavy line on the bottom. You could absolutely do something like this without having to draw the entire bottom like it is in our reference page. You just have the 2 on the edge that look realistic. However, if you're interested in doing the difficult version all the way through, I'm going to show you a closer view. I go ahead and make this half oval shape, or this C shape. And now I'm going to create the lines that go under or in This is the lines that we're going to color in with our main color later. And notice how technically it would continue that way, but we won't see it because it'll be underneath your ghost sheet. So I'm going to erase those. What you will see are the two lines on the outside of our curves of our C. So these right here on our reference page, that's what we're going to try and recreate on our drawing. We'll put a line on the left and a line on the right that mimic the ones in your reference paper. And that's what makes it look more realistic. It looks difficult, but it's not super difficult once you get the hang of it. Okay, so let's check where we're at. We're gonna see the one we just drew, going back and forth between our drawing and our reference paper, and see what's next. So now I've got these two lines coming out that curve, one to the left and one to the right. Make sure you're looking at where it starts and where it finishes. It's like a little smiley face that goes from one to the other. So we're gonna curve this one out and move on to the next one. This next one looks like a C, but almost wider than a C. So we're gonna go out, curve back in. And now we're gonna draw those lines that go back again. However, it can get kind of confusing if you don't erase your original lines. So you'll use your eraser a lot today. Let's draw those lines that go underneath. They go straight up, straight back, and underneath our thing. They would continue, but of course we can't see it. Notice how these go in. So they start wide at the bottom and they start to go closer. So I have to fix mine to where they look like they're wider on the bottom and skinnier towards the top. Always looking back at my reference paper to make sure I'm on the right track. Let's go ahead and finish this one out. I just had a few adjustments. I was mostly there. A few adjustments, erase the ones that shouldn't be there, and then go back in and add those lines going up to finish it out. Now that we got through that, mostly painless, let's start to the eyes. Now, again, I'm referencing my reference paper and how much space I have between the side of my eyes on the left, which is a very small space, and then the size of the space in between my eyes. This is kind of at a diagonal line because our eyes are a little bit further down than that curve. And look how much space is on the right side of our eye. So I've got a little tiny bit of space where the left eye is and a larger space where the right eye is. So when I go to draw it on my paper, I want to show that. I want to do the same thing. I'll go ahead and create this oval shape for one eye, and I can always change it later. I can erase it if I need to, and then create the other one. And just like in my reference page, I have a large area on the right and a smaller area on the left. And I think mine is actually wider. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Now it's time for cleanup. So I'm going to go back, and any extra lines that I definitely don't want on my paper, I'll just erase. And compared to my reference paper, it's pretty close. So now you can see that graphite shining in the light. So now comes the fun part. We're going to add our accent colors, choose our base color. Our base color for this one is purple. I colored in the eyes with purple and did the outline of my ghost specifically with purple. So for my drawing today, we're using construction paper crayons. These are the Crayola brand. They show up really bright, especially on dark construction paper. So I'm going to go in with this green, and green is going to be my base color for this project. So my entire ghost, the ghost sheet that it's wearing, is going to be green. Now my hat will be a different color. So my hat is an accessory, and we'll make that a new color. So I'm going to go around that and color everything with green. I'm actually going to color in the spots that are black on my reference paper. I'm going to color those green on my actual artwork. So I'm going to go back in with my eyes, and I'll fill those in with my base color, which is green. And then down at the bottom, if you did do it the difficult way, you can fill that in with your base color. Now moving on, we're going to look at our accessories and start drawing our accessory colors. So my basketball, most basketballs are orange, so I'm going to go ahead and outline our basketball with my orange crayon. And then my hat color, I'm going to do blue. I thought I was going to do red, but then it felt a little too Christmas, so I went over it with blue. Now I know I'm throwing a lot of words at you, so we did a base color of green, our accessory colors, orange and blue, and now we're going to do our accent colors. So the accent colors are anything, all these movement lines, the lines that make it look like it's moving and add a little bit of fun and pizzazz to our picture. We talked about line quality, so notice how some of these lines are thicker, some of them are thinner. Line quality is a visual characteristic that refers to the thickness, weight, and texture of a line in art. For this ghost, we're going to start with the movement lines that make our basketball look like it's spinning on our ghost's hand or on our ghost finger, and we're going to choose whichever colors we want. So I'm going to go with yellow, and I'm just going to start creating these movement lines. Now, not all of my reference pages have movement lines like this one specifically, so if it doesn't have reference line like this, we're just going to start adding different colors of lines, different line thicknesses, different types of lines, wavy, straight, basically all around our picture. Everywhere that there's a space, if you want some movement lines, feel free to add them. These movement lines that we're going to add, they can be used to show emotion and convey depth and movement. So if you look at my picture on the right, my example, I put a lot of lines around their eyes, and I put wavy lines around on top of the cup of coffee, and it kind of makes them look like they're running on coffee. They're a little exhausted because of all those lines I put around the eyes. The lines almost made it feel more relatable to me as an art teacher that I'm constantly drinking coffee and running on paint fumes and lesson plans. Okay, so here we go. My basketball player looks like he's about to just dunk on everyone. He looks kind of angry, but I love him. I think it looks so much fun, and this project was really fun to do. My kids are having a blast with it, so I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. This lesson was inspired by the Cozy Art Teachers. I got all of my reference pages from her teacher, paid teacher. If you look under the Cozy Art Teacher, it came with those reference images and a whole lot more.